actually going to start for a second standing up with a block. And I think you guys all have blocks, but if you're joining in later at home and you don't have a block, you could use a pillow or like a soft ball if you don't have that. And let's pop the block in between your thighs. And we'll be working a lot with inner thighs today, adductor muscle group. And one of their jobs is to squeeze in. So let's try that a couple of times. Just give the block a little squeeze and release. And a few times. Yeah. And for the moment, we're just going straight in. And then let's hold the squeeze and roll the block forward. So this is external rotation when we do this. This is mostly not what we'll be working with today, but just so you feel it. And feel how when you roll the block forward, the pelvis tucks under and presses forward, yeah? And we don't want to walk around like this, that's unfortunate. So let's give the block a little squeeze and now roll it back. And when we do this one, you'll feel the butt kind of stick out, the back arches a little bit more. And then come back to center. Let's go one more each way. So squeeze in and roll forward. Keep a little squeeze and roll back. Now let's stay with it rolling back and counter this a little bit. So can you lift up through the pit of the abdomen? Send the buttocks flesh down towards the heel. So you're kind of compacting yourself in, but don't do that so much that the block rolls forward again. Yeah? So you keep the tops of the thighs rolling back, the low belly lifting, and the buttocks flesh descending. Very exciting, isn't it?
A lot of work.
It's a lot of work, yeah? So some of this stuff we'll do will be on purpose a little more work than you're used to doing, and some of it will be a little less than that, yeah? So go ahead and remove the block, keep it handy, and we'll spend a little bit of time laying on your back, and if you have a strap, that would be good. Just have it handy. We won't use it quite yet. Also have your block handy. And come to lay down. So you can be however you want to be, legs bent or straight, arms wherever they want to be. Feels good to lay down, doesn't it? Just take a second here to arrive. Maybe take a big yawn. And just start to become aware of your own body. When you meet the floor, just notice how it feels to be you, right at this very moment in time. Your level of energy. Is this a time where you need more or you need less? Gently here, allow your head to turn from side to side. And we'll let the head rest. Take the left leg long on the floor for the moment, just let it relax. Bring the right knee in towards your chest and just give the leg a little squeeze. You want to add a little movement here, you can. And then notice the left leg for a second, the bottom leg. And when it's in this relaxed state, it naturally tends to flop out or go into external rotation. So make a little adjustment here. Reach the left heel forward and send the inner thigh towards the floor, like when you are rolling the block back. And see how that creates a little more just life in the leg. It's a little more awake. And then we'll keep that. You can use your strap here if you have one. Strap the right foot, send the right leg up. And if you don't have a strap, you can just hold the hands behind the right thigh. So we'll just hold here for a second. Keep the activity going on the bottom leg. So the inner thigh rolling down and the heel reaching outward. And now another thing to think about, see if you can pull the left hip a little bit more towards your head. And when you do that, kind of like a seesaw, the right one will go down away from your head. Yeah, so let's keep that idea. Keep the left leg doing all of those things we just mentioned, and have the strap in the right hand, and we'll let the right leg go out on the right diagonal. And it might not go terribly far because we're keeping all this effort on the left side. All right, friends, let's come back up to center. And we'll release the leg. Just let both legs relax for a second. You can lengthen them down. And then we'll pick up the left leg. First, just hold on to it and keep the bottom leg relaxed. If you want to move around a little bit here, any kind of movement is fine. And then let's pause and notice what's going on when the right leg is relaxed, as opposed to when you press the heel forward, roll the inner thigh down towards the floor. Yeah? Okay, let's keep that going on the right side. And then strap up the left foot or just hold behind the thigh as you reach the leg up. And then from this position here, yeah, take the right hip a little bit more towards your head, and the left one down a little bit away from the head. And then our nice, strong, active right leg will stay. Put the strap in the left hand, take the left leg out on the diagonal. Not too far, we want to keep all of that good stuff going on the right side. Yeah. And then up we come back to center. Go ahead and release the leg. Let both legs relax, just send them down. And then dig your heels into the floor and do a quick point and flex with your feet, just to create a little jiggle here. More of a release than anything else. And then we'll let that one settle. Bend your knees. Take your block and pop the block in between your thighs like we did standing. Send the legs up in the air, and they don't have to be straight. They can be bent or kind of anywhere in between these places is fine. Now, if this position, if you feel like you need more support for the lower back, you can stick your hands underneath the pelvis if that is useful for you. Now from here, friends, give the block a little squeeze just in. And like we did standing, let's do our internal and external rotation. It's a little more work now that gravity is, yes, against us here. And notice when you're using the inner thighs to make the rotations, what's going on in the lower leg. And if you bend the knees a little bit, it'll happen more. You'll see, oh, yeah, later on when we're standing, the feet will be fixed, so this won't happen as much, but we will adjust for it. All right, I think we're done with this. Go ahead and remove the block. Just put it to the side, hug both knees in and give yourself a little stir, a little movement, anything. Yeah. All right, yogis. From here, we'll meet in the all fours position. Take whatever time you need to get there. And let's set up just the way you normally would. And we'll begin with some side bending. So let the rib cage glide over to one side. You can look over the opposite shoulder. And then we'll pass through the middle, side two. Just go through this back and forth a couple of times, nice and slow for the moment. And then pause when you're on one side, doesn't matter which. Round the back, coming through cat pose. Go over to second side and then down into your cow pose. And just take this slow motion circle a couple times in one direction. And then we'll reverse and go a couple times the other direction. And let's take a little break. Go back to child's pose. Any version of this is fine. If you need to spread your fingers or a little rocking of your hips, whatever you need. And then let's reset, coming back to the all fours position. Stretch the right leg back with the toes tucked under, and at first just give yourself a little bit of movement here, a little back and forth. And we'll hold the leg back here. Let's clear the shoulders, lift the belly, and then in slow motion, when we lift the right leg, lift it from the inner thigh. Yeah. And then once it feels like the foot is hip height, pull the right foot over to the left without side bending. And then bring it back to neutral. Do a few times. So just like a little pull to the left and back to neutral. Great. And then we'll pause back in our neutral. The leg is behind you. If this is feeling solid and you want to stretch the left arm forward, go ahead and add that in. If not, skip the arm. Let's inhale. On the exhale, bend the knee, bend the elbow, pull in. And on the inhale, re-lengthen your limbs by lifting the inner thigh and don't arch the back. Yeah, take that a few more times. So you can round the back when you pull in, but then just go to neutral when you stretch out rather than arching. All right, friends, this is our last one. Let's pause, lengthen, lengthen. And enough is enough. Release the arm, release the leg. Go back to child's pose. Let's have the toes tucked under. Scooch the knees back. Press the mat forward with your hands. And just get a little extra stretch here in the feet. And then why not take another spider fingers, perch up onto the fingertips. Give them a little scrunch action with your hands. And then we'll reset. Hands come down. We're back in the center. Left leg stretches back, toes tuck under. Give yourself a little bit of movement here. Oh, this side's tight for me today. And then let's pause. Before we lift the leg, can you clear the shoulders and lift the belly from the inner thigh, slow motion. Let the leg start to lift. Hold it there. Now we did this, I forgot to say it on side one, but we did it laying down. Can you pull the left hip a little forward so the pelvis becomes more level? And then try to not move the spine or the pelvis as the leg goes to the right a little bit. And back to center. Do that a few times, pulling it in and back to center. It's called adduction with a D. You do this movement. And then let's pause in the center. If you'd like to add in the right arm, go ahead and do. Inhale, we're here. Exhale, pull it in, round. Inhale, re-lengthen, lift up through the inner thigh. And exhale, pull it in, round. Just a couple more like this. Try not to arch the back when you lengthen your limbs. All right, friends, when you're done, release, arm and leg back down. Any version of child's pose is fine. Maybe a little wiggle, a little wobble. All right, let's head down to the belly. And we won't do so much inner thigh work here, just a little bit. So take your right leg, lift it up off the floor, lift from the inner thigh, and then pull back and set the leg back down. And feel how just doing that, the right side feels different than the left. Let's do the same thing. Left side lifts up. Lift a little more through the inner thigh. Pull the foot back and then set it down. Yeah, let's keep that. Just rest the forehead. Give the hips a small little wobble from side to side. And then from here, friends, let's take the arms, the hands, a little further forward. Bring the elbows in slightly, but not all the way. Press the forearms down to the floor and try to drag the arms to the chest. The chest will pull forward, create a little lift up through the belly, and just pretend the head is part of the spine and continue that line that the spine is making. And we'll just stay here for a little bit. Arms continue to pull back, chest continues to pull forward. Lowest part of the belly is engaged. And then down we come, rest the forehead on the hands, bend both knees, and give the legs a little bit of a swish, just a little side to side movement. Yeah, all right, friends. To get out of this and put the legs down, head into downward facing dog. Take your time to get there. And it might feel a little sticky, so take any kind of movement, any little extras that you want to add in. Adjust wardrobe, yeah. All right, friends, from your down dog, go ahead and separate your feet wide and bend the knees. We'll walk the hands to the feet and prop up the forearms on the thighs so you're in a kind of squat position. Can you send the inner groins back and move the chest forward at the same time? And instead of pulling in with the thighs, let's press out and root down through the ball of the big toe. From here on the next inhale, we'll come all the way up, stretch the arms, lengthen out the legs. Yes, yogis, put the arms down. And let's reset the feet just right underneath you. Take a little hula hoop here. I'll face you for this part. Great, go the other direction. And then we'll do the same block exercise that we did in the beginning, but we'll add on to it. So go get a block and go to the back of the mat with your block. Okay, so you'll pop the block, I'll face you. Pop the block in between the thighs, and then just stand with your feet as comfortably underneath you as you can. For some of us, they'll go wider. Some of us, they'll go narrow. It just depends on your anatomy here. So in this position, like we did in the beginning, give the block a light squeeze in, not a death grip, just a little squeeze. Roll it back, also just a little bit, and lift up through the low belly. Send the buttocks flesh down, but don't do that so much that the block rolls forward. Yeah, keep it rolling back. And then go ahead and lengthen the arms out to the side and up, Urdhva Hastasana, inhale. Exhale, we'll go down, forward fold, just relax the legs for a second. You can bend the knees. Take a halfway lift, move the chest forward. And then we're coming down and walking the hands forward to get to plank pose. Keep the block in there. If anyone's not doing plank, do this in down dog, or if you're not doing down dog, do all fours without the block. From your position here, friends, if you're in plank with me, can you clear the shoulders? Can you squeeze the block lightly and roll it up towards the ceiling? Just like in mountain pose, draw the navel forward and the buttocks flesh down towards the heels, but not so much that the thighs lower towards the floor. We'll stay here. Press down into the base of the thumbs and try to squeeze in towards the midline, using that part of the hand. What? It's a little harder, isn't it, when we do all these things? Now, just relax a little bit. Let's go back to downward dog. If you need to adjust your stance a little bit, go ahead and do. Same idea with our block. So bend the knees a little. Squeeze the block. Look back at your feet when you roll the block back. Do you see how the heels pull apart? Can you hug the heels in enough that your feet align? And also hopefully the knees align. And then slowly lengthen the legs. Think of sending the block back and up as you lengthen the legs. Yes, so the block is going up, but at the same time, can you reach the heels downward? They likely won't touch the floor, but reach the heels downward. Yeah. All right, you're probably ready to get rid of this block. Let's do so. Put the knees down, remove the block, and just take a quickie child's pose. Yeah. Oh, yeah, if you want to wiggle a little bit, you can. I'm used to, when I do this with a room full of people, everyone's complaining a lot. So with the Zoom class, if you guys are on mute, so I can't hear you're complaining. All right, let's come down onto your belly, just like we were before. And do that little lengthening the leg thing with the internal rotation. So one side and the other side. Keep your forehead resting on your hands. I'm going to keep my face up so you can hear me. And from the inner thighs, lift the legs. And don't just lift them up, but think of also drawing them back towards the back of the mat. And then lower yourself down. Let's do that a few times. So the inner thighs lift up and draw towards the back of the mat as the legs come up. And down we go. Let's take it one more time. Stay like that. You can either keep the arms as they are or bring the hands slightly forward to prop as we let the upper body lift. And it's not a big lift, just a little lift. And let's create the same thing we did before where the arms drag back and the chest draws forward, not so much upward. Great job, yogis, release. Come down, rest your head. Bend the knees and in a relaxed way, take your side to side legs into Viper Asana variation B. Let's put the legs down. We'll go into downward facing dog with no block, but imaginary block. So come on in. From your downward dog position, let's bend the knees just a little bit. And then look back for a second just so you can see what's happening. Roll your imaginary block back and see how the knees knock in and the heels go apart. Keep that for a second. Send the block back a little bit more. And then try to pull the heels in so much that the knees point forward, but don't lose your imaginary block. And then slowly let the legs start to lengthen. From the back of the knee to the back of the heel, try to root down, reaching towards the mat. Alrighty, friends. To get out of this one, let's come to the front of the mat this time. Any way you want to go. You'll bend the knees a little bit, press the thighs wide to come up. Inhale, we stand. Exhale, release the arms. Yeah, just do a little shoulder in and out for a second to kind of undo some of that stuff. Great. So our next position will involve some lunges, and you might want blocks for that. So let's set them up at the front of the mat, just in case. And then let's stand in our mountain pose again. If you wanted to have the feet together, great. If you prefer a little bit apart, that's fine. So from your position here, let's take the arms up, just in a kind of relaxed way. Very slight bend in the knees for a second. Can you, not so much roll the inner thighs back, but think of kind of just softening through the inner groin. Yeah, so it's a little less than what we've been doing. Keeping this, can you lift up through the belly, lengthen the buttocks, flush down towards the heels, and draw up through the arms. Take a sweet breath in. And on the exhale, down we go. Forward fold, Uttanasana. Come up halfway, lengthen the spine. We'll lower down, step the right leg back and bring the knee down. Of course, if you need some kind of padding, you can take that. The back toes can be up or down, your choice. Now in this position for the moment, let's actually come up with the hands on the hips and back up the pelvis slightly, yeah? Now on the right leg, like you had a block there, send the inner thigh back, finding that rotation. Lift the low belly up. And now this one, just think about it. Without moving the right leg, try to pull the right shin towards the left side of the mat, yeah? So that'll help engage the inner thigh more. Keep the belly lifted and then let the pelvis shift forward just a little bit without collapsing. Take the right arm up first, the left arm up next. Think of the rib cage lifting up off the pelvis. Yeah. One more breath in here. Exhale, we're down with the hands. Go ahead and let the action in the legs relax. And then we'll shift back here, straightening out the left leg, and you can either just stay back there, or you could go back and forth. Yeah, so totally up to you. And of course, if you need to bring the arms back or adjust the height of your blocks, you can do that too. All right, yogis. Let's pause with the front knee bent, hands right underneath your shoulders on any height of blocks or not. Tuck the back toes under, lift the back knee. And now kind of on a diagonal line, think of squeezing the inner thighs towards one another. So the back one pulls forward and the front one pulls back, and then release that action. Do that a few times, and yes, the pelvis will lift a little bit when you find that pull. Yeah, you guys. All right, now let's back off. From this position, just drop, keep the inner thigh on the back leg kind of lifting towards the ceiling, but don't do so much of the pulling, yeah? Let's move the pelvis back, the chest forward. Press into the left heel. And then you decide, you can just stay here or lighten up the arms. You could take one or both arms back, one or both arms forward. Just take a second here, we won't be for too long. Yeah. All right, and then release the arms. If you are on the blocks, move them out of the way for the moment. And then you decide. You can go back to plank and hold. You could go back to down dog and hold. You could alternate between the two. You could do a cat-cow. You could do a vinyasa. Anything goes. Yeah. You could adjust the props. And then from here, friends, let's make our way to the front of the mat and stay low once you arrive. We won't come all the way up. Just take a halfway lift. Use that as a transition. On the way down, we'll come back with the left leg. So step the foot back, knee down, maybe on some padding, and then bring your torso up, hands to the hips. Back up the pelvis just a little bit, and let's pay attention to the back leg here. On the back leg, send the block back, finding that rotation. At the same time, lift up through the low belly. Also at the same time, you won't go anywhere. Try to drag the left shin towards the right side of the mat. Keep all of that and let the pelvis shift forward a little bit. And then stretch the left arm up first, the right arm up next. Lift the rib cage off the pelvis. Oh yeah. One more breath in here. And then on the exhale, let the leg actions go a little bit. Hands come back down. You can shift back and hold. You can go back and forth. You can keep the arms way forward or bring them back a little, whatever you like. Yeah. Okie dokie. Let's pause with the front knee bent. Tuck the back toes under, make the hands to the right under the shoulders, then tuck the back toes under, lift the back knee. And we'll do that little hug in on the diagonal. So do that, pull in, and then relax a couple of times. Yeah, it's work, isn't it? And then back off a little bit. On the back leg, keep the inner thigh rolling up towards the ceiling. Move the heart forward. You choose. Arms could stay down or just lighter, forward, back, one of each. Anything you want to do here is fine. Yeah. All right, friends, let's come on out, release the arms. Plank to the belly this time. Great, and let's do our little leg scooch back. Go slow and add in that lift through the inner thigh as you put the leg back down. Aha, all right. So from here, let's stretch the arms back. I'll just move this out of the way. And lift the front of the shoulders away from the floor so the collarbones widen. Keep that, let the arms lift, and if you want to also lift the legs, do so by lifting the inner thigh. When we lift the legs from the inner thigh, you're not able to go up as high, and that's okay. So just, be aware of that. All right, let's come down, turn your head to one side, relax. And then a quickie quad stretch. Bend the right knee and hold on to the foot or the ankle. We won't stay here for long, just for a quickie. Release that and switcheroo over to side two. Release that one. And then let's head into our downward facing dog. Go ahead and just get there. From your down dog, for this version, let's bring the feet a bit closer to each other and then step the right foot a few inches forward, not far, just a little bit. And now try to stretch the right leg straight, sinking the heel towards the floor. Let the left knee bend and have most of your weight on the right side. Now this will be a stretch for the right calf. To change it slightly, let your pelvis shift just a little bit over to the right and then a little bit over to the left. Then we come back to center and change legs. So step the right one back, put the left one forward, not far, and then try to go straighter in the left leg, sinking the heel towards the floor. Right knee bends, and there's most of the weight on the left side. Yes, pause here. Shift a little to the left. And then a little to the right. Just right, back in the center. And reset back to down dog. We'll meet in a forward fold. Any version and any way you want to get there is fine. Bend the knees a little bit, press into the feet. Use the inhale to rise all the way up and come. Exhale to release the arms. All right, take a little hula hoop asana. And then go the other direction. Yeah. So next here, we'll take warrior one, and I think we'll do it twice. So let's stay at the front of the mat, hands to the hips. I'm gonna have my, I'll start here and then I'll turn around. Step the right leg back with the heel down, both legs straight for the moment. Now, just think about it for a second. The bones on the right leg, they're in external rotation. See how the leg is turned out? So that's just the nature of the pose, but we're going to use the muscles that we would do to do internal rotation, yeah? So bring your imaginary block to the leg, on the back leg, roll it back, yeah? Do you see what that does for the rest of the body? And then don't do. And do it again, roll the inner right thigh back, keep that, and then take your right hand to the top of the thigh, and roll from in to out. Just kind of indicate there on your own body, and that should help also. Yeah, all right. So when we do all of this, can you feel how the weight goes mostly to the big toe and the ball of the big toe? Let's keep it there, but now also press the outer right heel towards the floor. Oh, so exciting. Yeah, I know it's a lot of work. Let's keep all that in the back leg. Let the front knee bend. And it's okay if you need to go wider. It's okay if it's not such a deep warrior one. We're gonna kind of pay attention mostly to the back leg. So I'll say all the pieces again, but you don't have to do extra. It's just as a reminder. Inner thigh rolls back. And then from the back of the leg, roll from in to out. In your foot, press down through the outer heel. Lift up through the belly. Go ahead and lift the arms. Now, if this is feeling pinchy in your lower back, hinge forward a little bit. If your back is feeling fine, just keep your torso upright. Everybody, think of moving the rib cage and the pelvis away from each other to create some space. Right, to get out, bring the arms down, hinge forward a little bit, and then just step to the top of the mat. Yeah, shake it out. Shake, shake. Okay, side two, same thing. I know it's a little bit tedious, but I'm going somewhere with it. Hands to the hips. Left leg steps back, heel to the floor, both legs straight for the moment. Doesn't have to be a huge step. Now, on the back leg, find your imaginary block. Roll the inner thigh back. And then take your left hand, start at the top of the leg, and roll from in to out at the back of the leg. Yeah, so just continuing on that line. In your foot, press down through the outer heel, lift up through the belly, bend the front knee. If you need to hinge forward for your spine, you can, yeah? And then from here, everybody move the ribs and the pelvis away from each other, try to find that space. Left arm up, right arm up, and here we are, Virabhadrasana 1. We'll stay for a moment. On the back leg, inner thigh rolls back. On the back of the leg, roll from in to out. Then in the heel, press down through the outer heel. Let the rib cage move away from the pelvis. Yeah, and then we'll hinge the chest forward, take the arms back. Just step yourself forward to get out of that. Yeah, shake it out, wiggle around. Okay, so we'll take a little deep turn, then we'll do it again. We'll stay at the front of the mat, root down through the legs, arms come up, inhale, we rise. Exhale, we're down, forward fold, Uttanasana. Come up halfway, lengthen it out. Lower the hands down, and let's go plank to down dog. Once you get to down dog, bring the feet closer together at the back of the mat. From the inner thigh, let the right leg draw back and up as high as you can that you can still maintain a lift through the inner thigh. Once it starts to go into the outer thigh, then that's too far, yeah? So maybe you're here, maybe you're here, maybe you're up pretty far. We'll just hold this position. Now, can you stamp the right heel back, but at the same time, draw the right hip, the right half of the pelvis a little bit forward. What? Yeah. All right. And then we'll come down, second side. So slowly, from the inner thigh, let the left leg reach back and up. Go as far as you can until the inner thigh starts to loosen and it starts to turn out, yeah? Then from here, stamp the left heel back, but at the same time, draw the left half of the pelvis a little bit forward. You could also think of pressing the top of the right thigh bone back. They're kind of the same thing. All right, set the leg down. Let's take a little break, child's pose. Rest the forehead on something, either on your own arms, your hands, or block the floor. If you need to wiggle a little bit, go ahead and do. All right, friends. So we'll get into warrior one again with some add-ons. Let's go back to down dog just as a transition. From there, come to the front of the mat any way you want to get there. Root down to rise up, arms lift. And release the arms. Okay, so let's set up the blocks. You'll likely want them at some point. Hands to the hips. And we'll step the right leg back, setting up for our warrior one. So we won't be as tedious this time. Inner thigh rolls back, back of the heel presses down, belly lifts, front knee bends. Up we are, warrior one pose. Yeah. A little easier second time around. Now from here, friends, we're going down, hands to the floor or blocks. Hinge yourself forward and down. You could go any height of blocks, whatever works for you. And then just very slowly bend and straighten the front knee to give you a little stretch in the hamstring. And then let's pause with the front leg straight, and you might need to go higher on the blocks in order to sort of take the rounding out of the back. I'm exaggerating this. We want to be here as opposed to here. So a little bit more like cow than cat, but it's not like a huge cow. All right. From this position on your back leg, just like we did in warrior one, you roll the inner thigh back and press the outer heel down, but not so much that you lose the inner thigh. And this is a lot more subtle than it was when you were up. Yeah, it's a little bit less than before. All right, friends. Let's rebend the front knee, and now on the back leg, pivot so the heel comes off the floor, and we'll take the arms forward. Guess what we're gonna do? Keep the standing knee bent, and the right leg will lift up from the inner thigh. So up we come. Yep, stay there. Keep the inner thigh lifted. Press the heel back, but pull the right hip slightly forward, and move the very top of the left thigh slightly back. Yeah. Now, can you take the rounding out of the back, move the chest forward, and go ahead and let the left leg go straighter if you're able to. If you need to keep it bent, that's fine. We'll just stay here with the hands down. And then to get out, just step the back foot forward, just so the feet are side by side, and then bring yourself all the way up to stand. Yeah. All right. Yeah, just shake it out. We've got a second side to do. So we'll do it. And then I'll just say this part. Okay, so here we go. Hands to the hips. I don't want to get too far ahead. Left leg steps back. Find your warrior one and bend the front knee. Inner thighs rolling back, outer heels pressing down, arms are lifted. Warrior one, and it's okay if it's kind of a shorty warrior one, no big deal. All right, when you're ready, start to lengthen the front leg, come forward and down, landing your hands. And then take a couple rounds to bend and straighten. Now let me say this as you're going along. If even the highest block is not high enough for you, you could make a block tower, stack them, and just bring them to the inside of the front foot. That's certainly a possibility. Or you could use a chair or any kind of furniture. All right, guys, let's pause with the front leg, your version of straight. On the back leg, send the inner thigh back, and counter that action, press down through the outer heel, but it's a little less than what you were doing when you were upright. Okie dokie. To get out of this, bend the front knee, keep it bent, spin the back heel up. Take the arms forward, and then from the inner thigh, left leg lifts. Keep the right knee bent for the moment. And when the leg feels like the foot is about hip height, pull the left hip a little forward, the right top of the thigh a little back, and then maybe you straighten out the right leg. Yeah? If you straighten the leg and the back starts to round, keep the knee bent, and everybody work on moving the heart forward. Yeah. Okay. To get out, step the back foot down, and bring yourself upright. Yeah, shake it out. Okay, so we'll do the last part of that again, the warrior three part, and I want to say something about what's going on in the spine. So just watch me for a second. We're going to do a lifting the arms, and sometimes when we're in this position, see how, I'm going to pretend I'm really tight here, and see how my back is rounded. In this position, it's not ideal, but it's not terrible. But if I were to lift my arms like this, that suddenly puts a whole lot more load on the pose, and you take the hit in the low back and the discs in between the vertebrae. So that's not where we want to be. If you're finding that that's happening when you lift the arms, you'll back off a notch in an effort to maintain the neutral curves in your spine. That makes sense? Okay, so that being said, let's come down, hands on your blocks. I'll recommend the highest height that you know where you need to be. Maybe it's higher, or maybe it's a chair or a wall instead of blocks. From here, friends, bring the feet closer together. And before we go, can you, with both legs on the floor, move the tops of the thighs back, move the chest forward, keeping that tone a little bit through the belly, but not so much that you start to round. Yeah? All right, friends. Bend both knees just a teensy bit. Right leg is lifting back and up from the inner thigh. Once you have it set, pull the right hip a little forward, the left top of the thigh back, and then move the heart forward again. Yeah. You can stay here. You can go straighter in the left leg. And then here's where the arms come into play. Maybe you go onto just the fingertips. Maybe you take one arm or both arms back. Yeah, if you are going to go forward, go back first so you can reestablish the length in the spine. And then maybe one or both arms come forward. Yeah. To get out, bring the arms down, step the back foot down, and just come up for a second. Ah, yeah, all right. We got a second side to do. Let's do it. I'm tired. All right, come on down. Hands come under the shoulders, any height of blocks or any other prop, and then bring the feet closer together. Let me see this. If you're doing this without props and you feel like you need them, you could put your hands on the standing thigh, which is a nice alternative because you can control how high you go. Sorry, I should have said that before. Okay, here we are. Reset. Tiny bend in both knees. Take the very tops of the thighs back, the heart forward. Tone a little through the belly. Let's keep that with the tiny bend in the knees. Stretch the left leg back, lift up through the inner thigh. So the left leg is straight. Pull the left hip, left pelvis a little bit forward. The top of the right thigh moves back. And then from here, lengthen the spine again and go straighter in the right leg if you can. Yeah. Now your choice with the arms. Maybe they stay put. Maybe you go fingertips. Maybe one is back, both are back. If you're going forward, go back first. Make sure you can do that one with a long spine. Oh. Warrior three, friends, we're done. Arms come down, leg comes down. Up we come to stand. Oh, yeah. Nice job, you guys. So that's a challenging way to get into Warrior 3. It's often done kind of working with gravity. You start up and go down, but I like this version because you get all the little pieces in there. Yeah. All right, so inner thighs have been working like crazy today. We're gonna stretch them out a bit with a wide forward fold. If you need blocks for that, go get them. And let's stand on the long end of the mat with the feet forward, hands to the hips. Start with a slight bend in the knees, and as you come down, hinge from the hip crease, and think about the inner thighs. Don't roll them back a lot, just think of that kind of softening sensation as you come down, landing the hands right under the shoulders. Now, before we straighten the legs, at the very tops of the thighs, just press a little bit wider away from the midline, and feel how that shifts the weight in your feet towards the pinkies. Can you press down a little more the ball of the big toe, just enough so the weight's even, but not extra, not more than that. And then the legs can go straighter. Oh, this already feels good. And let's just for a second stretch the arms out forward. Don't move the hips forward, just the arms. And go onto your fingertips if you're able. Now, if you were on blocks here, you could just walk the blocks forward. Yeah. All right, you guys. Back off slightly from your max reach and walk the arms over towards the right. You can still be on your fingertips or flat, doesn't matter. Right leg will stay straight. Bend the left knee and shift the hips back. Oh, yeah. Hopefully that hits the spot. And then we return to center with the hips and the arms. Arms go left. Bend the right knee. Oh, and shift the hips back. This is my tighter side for sure. All right, friends, we're gonna do one more on each. So arms go right, right leg is straight, bend the left knee, shift the hips back. Up we come, over to side two. And then come back to center. Let's set up the hands right under the shoulders. Heel to the feet in a little, but not all the way. Bend the knees, widen the upper thighs, tone the belly. Hands to the hips, hinge your way up to center. Yeah, great. All right, so we're gonna bring the feet together. Sorry, let's take a little hula hoop. And then the other direction. Yes, friends. Okay, we'll do another little stretch here. Come down to sit. And I'm going to demonstrate this on the long end of the mat. It doesn't really matter. Sometimes if you're on a wood floor, that having the heel on the floor doesn't feel good, so just adjust accordingly. I'll mirror you here. So the right leg will go long and the left leg will come in. If you know Janu Shirshasana is similar, but not quite that. Hands behind you. Press down, lift the hips for a second, try to scooch the pelvis back and then sit down. And that way, yeah, you kind of tilt the pelvis on the landing. We want to keep the right sitting bone down the whole time and don't let the right leg roll in or out. Just keep it in place. Press the hands down, sit up tall. And then whatever direction your pelvis is pointing, that's the direction you start to go. A little or a lot. But sometimes we think we're going a lot and then we've actually rotated and we're getting into the wrong spot. So. We're gonna keep the legs in position. Bring your torso upright. Now turn towards the bent leg so it's an upright seated twist. You could stay like this if you wanted to, or keep the right hand on the left knee, turn the chest a little bit forward and take the left arm overhead. Yeah, there's a couple different variations of this, so if it seems a little different than the one you're used to, that might be why. All right, up we come to center. Let's unturn, come back to center, and then we'll bend the right knee, stretch out the left leg, and set up for the second side. So first we'll take that little adjustment, hands behind you. Lift up, scooch back and down, just for a sec. And then keep the left sitting bone grounded and stay in the center of the left heel. Don't let the leg rotate. Sit up nice and tall. You choose if you're staying here or if you're coming forward. Oh, this side's so tight. I'm just gonna stay here actually. Amazing how different the two sides are. Yeah, you got it. All right, friends, let's head back up to center. Keep the legs. Turn towards the bent knee. You can take left hand to the right knee. And then turn your face forward. Up comes the right arm and over, maybe. I'm gonna stay upright for this one. And Mary, I should have said this too. For the scoliosis, you might do the two sides really differently. And when you're done, up we come to center. Nice work, you guys. Let's stretch the legs forward, just gently, gently, and give them a little Babasana. All right, so in the beginning of class, we did our Supta Padangustasana. We're gonna do it again, but with more of an inner thigh stretch focus. So let's come down to your back. Let's do this one just without the strap. So come on down, and you'll take the right leg up, straight-ish, left leg up, bent. Take one hand on each side, on each thigh, and then let the legs go apart. It's actually very similar to the seated shape we just took. Now you might find here that the right leg could go way down, but then the left one comes up. Try to not do that and try to be as level as you can across the back of the pelvis. And then we'll push the legs back together using the arms. Switch sides, left leg goes straight, right knee bends. Hands on the outsides of the thighs as you let the legs move apart. Oh, yeah. That's the other side that's tighter. That's so funny. And then use the arms to push the legs back together. Bend the left knee too. And just give both legs a little stir. Yeah, the other way. All right. So we'll do this one that I typically consider more of a psoas stretch, but after we've just been working the inner thighs, you might feel it there too. So let's put the feet down and then take the right foot, scoop it underneath so it goes in between the left butt cheek and the left heel. The knee could go all the way down or maybe put a prop under it. And then gently pick up the left leg and bring it into the chest. If picking up the left leg feels like too much, keep the left foot down or put it on a prop. Now you might feel this like at the very top of the inner thigh. You might feel it more towards the front of the hip, and either place is fine. Some people actually feel it on the outer, and that's okay too. You're gonna get it wherever it's the tightest for the moment. So very gently, put the left one down. Undo the right one and just pause in the middle. And then side two, the left one will scoop under, maybe with the prop. Right leg will come in, or maybe take a prop here. Interesting.
Yeah, that one's way better.
Yeah, these bodies of ours, huh? But one of the parts of yoga, it's called svadhyaya. It means self-study, and the whole time we're learning things about ourselves as we're moving along. And it's interesting how things change day by day, right side by left side. Nice and easy, let's come out. Put the right one down, undo the left one, come back to center. And then just take a thigh press, press hands into legs, create like a, just kind of clearing some space. and the pelvis, the tops of the thighs. And then keep the hands there, but back off. And just take it one more time. Nice pressure. Oh. And release. Oh, that's time for Shavasana, my friends. If you need to do anything else before Shavasana, of course, take that. Otherwise, just be as comfortable as you can be. I'm going to turn out some of these lights here. As you settle in here, let the work be done. Let the inner thighs relax. Naturally, the legs just flop out. You relax through the belly. And you relax the chest and your throat and your face. Your whole self relax. Where you're ready. Take a deeper, fuller breath. Start to make a little movement anywhere you like. Eventually, bend the knees and roll to one side. Take your time to press up to sit. Sitting any way you'd like to sit. Thank your body for everything that it's able to do. And thank yourself for being here. Namaste.